One of my favorite shows was The Walking Dead, and you had, I think, 2012. You listed The Walking Dead game, created by Telltale Games, which I didn't know. I never heard of them before. I mean, they've been around for a while, but I never heard of them. Tell me about Telltale Games, because it seems like they have an interesting concept of licensing content and then creating video games from it.
Yeah, so were formed from a lot of veterans of LucasArts, their gaming division. That aside from Star Wars, they were very famous for making kinds of games called point-and-click adventure games that are games that are very story focused. They're about there's no real action in those games. It's just about kind of absorbing the story and interacting with characters. And so that is a form that I think lends itself well to a lot of properties that aren't so action-packed. Movies and shows that are more about stories and characters. So that's a genre that they could work with. And that's where Telltale found its niche, was saying, hey, we can make a kind of game that's way more true to your property since we're making a story-driven adventure game. In their instance, they were making them in this sort of episodic seasonal format of, it will be a whole season of our game where every episode will have a little bit of story. Players can, make choices that will change. It's like a choose your own adventure game. Players will make choices that will impact the story and will kind of change the relationship with the characters. And so, with a game like The Walking Dead, the choices you make as the lead character in that game can determine like who lives or dies, or who gets shut out of the community and who gets infected and whatnot. So they were doing a lot of licensing at the time with, no one was making games like that, like they were. So they were doing all this sorts of licensing. But the real tragedy of them is that they were doing so much licensing and they were pumping out so much stuff that it just kind of became unsustainable, that they weren't getting enough back in to pay back all of their debts.
Oh, wow.
And they're also, the games themselves, you could start to see like they were so focused on making more stuff that they weren't able to go back and take their time and sort of refine their whole formula. So they're starting to feel too samey and kind of old at a point. And so they went like bankrupt basically. And now other companies have sort of bought parts of them and sort of revived them in like name only, but the Telltale as they originally existed is gone.
Oh my God! It's like the actual show. Like you guys, the walkers are just eating at the flesh.
Exactly.
Oh my God, that's a tragic prospect. Oh yeah, they're doing all this stuff. Oh my God, that's a tragic. Well, it kind of shows you how much money you actually need to run these companies. In your estimation, like which company is the top company right now, or is there multiple companies that's kind of running the whole gaming industry?
I mean, yeah, it's multiple, and it kind of depends on what your goals are and sort of the rest of your business. So, like, the PlayStation is outselling the Xbox right now, pretty handily for like multiple generations now. But Microsoft as a company has way more money than Sony as a company. That's just comparing, their gaming divisions. Nintendo is doing fantastic. The Switch is sold really well, but they're more content. They don't see the need to just kind of infinitely grow the way that more American companies I think kind of operate. So they're more content to just be like, we will just stay where we're at, and as long as we're still in business, we're happy. We'll have our they have a ton of money saved up. So if the Switch 2 is a huge failure, like the Wii U is a huge failure, that will not destroy their company. So that's also I think a success.